Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovius inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management, get everything you need up in the cloud. But it's Thursday. It's just past 2 o'clock. You know what that means. It is time for another Butcher's Market OG Live. Thanks to our friends at The Butcher's Market. You can check them out online at thebutchersmarkets.com. Look, Christmas is next week. It's a week from today. Maybe you're hanging out with some friends this weekend. Maybe you got invited to a Christmas Eve gathering. You don't know what to bring. They catch you at the Butcher's Market. Ham, biscuits, sides, you name it, they got it. And if you're looking to host, they can also provide all the ingredients, all the essentials you need. And if you're looking for a last-minute gift, may I suggest the steak of the month. So check them out online at thebutchersmarkets.com. We're going to check in with Brendan Marks of The Athletic to get into some college hoops. Also, Mike Maniscalco, Canes play-by-play, as look at that. Aho back on the board. The Canes are atop the Eastern Conference, and yet everybody's wringing their hands. We'll get to the bottom of that with Mike Maniscalco. We got the Carolina Panthers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this weekend, which we'll get to in a second. In fact, that's what I wanted to start with today.
Little NFL?
I wanted to start with the Panthers and Bucs, and you know the Panthers fans convincing themselves they're good enough that they can buy into referee conspiracy theories this week.
Hey, the league admitted.
I know. We'll get into that in a second. But the reason why I'm not going to start with the Panthers immediately is that Will Wade decided to surprise us all with a banger of a press conference. Now, I have a theory as to why he did this last night. They won by 36 points in their heritage game at Reynolds Coliseum last night. And I saw that Aura was there.
With Tim Peeler.
Yeah. So
check in on him.
I guess he's still with the team. Like there were rumors that he was like an NIL dispute and he was back at McNeese State. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. The point is that which game was it? Which game was it ahead of that he had like a 6-minute WWE shoot promo with Matt Chazanow on the pregame radio broadcast?
UNC Asheville.
It was the UNC Asheville game. That's what gave us the hostile takeover. But that was on the pregame radio broadcast. Not that people do not listen to it. It's just not a thing that gets widely distributed. However, a post-game press conference will be widely distributed. And after they won by 36 points, you'd never know it based on the Will Wade post-game press conference where he gave us a couple of new bangers to add to the hostile takeover and a few others.
It's tough. We got a lot of nice guys. Got a lot of nice guys. Got great team GPA. We got all that stuff. Over 3.0. We got all that stuff. It's wonderful. We're running a daycare. We're running a competitive Division I college basketball coach. I am into academics. I was a teacher. I'm happy about 3.2. But we're running a competitive basketball program. And quite frankly, I've been trying to get some urgency and some internal leadership. And I think Q's done a pretty good job. Outside of Q and Venn, those guys are playing about as well as we can ask them to play. But you take on the personality. We got a lot of casual personalities on our team. We don't have people that are revved up and ready to go. I mean, I had one of the kids come to me, I'm tough. I said, you're not in the top 50 of the toughest players I've coached. Not even the top 50. I don't want to hear that. You ain't tough. But like today in our shoot-around, we made 88 mistakes in our shoot-around. I chart all of it. We made 88 mistakes in our shoot-around. We made 23 defensive errors, 13 offensive execution errors, 36 on those. The other ones were different. 36 errors on those. Our first team made 14. Our second team made 22. How the hell can you be on the second team and watch the first team do it and make 8 more mistakes? You're running the same stuff. Casual, lack of attention to detail, lack of focus. And that's great when you have somebody that sets the ACC record for made threes and the school record for made threes, but we're relying on hope that one of these cats is going to go ballistic every night. That's what we rely on, just hope. And hope's a bad strategy in my book.
Is it concerning that it's taken this long to get things going? Is that
it ain't going.
Yeah.
It's concerning it's taken this long and we're not there. And we got all high major games from here on out. Kindergarten's over. We got all high major games from here on out. I mean, yeah, it's concerning. I mean, it's beyond concerning. I mean, concerns like here. I mean, this is like a problem, major problem. We'll see. We got to have some internal leadership. That's what we got to have. Got to have internal leadership. Got to have urgency. Got to have intensity. We got to have effort on every possession. We have to dominate possessions. Dominate possessions. And we just get through possessions. Just hold on for dear life in possessions.
So that was Will Wade last night. He's also referencing Paul McNeil, who set some whatever record.
Most threes in the game.
Yeah. And also like some NC State records as well, like most points in the game. Like he's up there now with like David Thompson and all that kind of stuff.
It wasn't an NC State record.
It wasn't an NC State record, but he's like up in like the top 3 or top 4 or something like that. That's neither here nor there. But that was Will Wade. Big thanks to Ethan Hyman over at the News and Observer for sending us that super cut from yesterday's Will Wade press conference. And, you know, I'm hearing this and it just kind of ties into the general theme of the week that we've had when talking about NC State. Clearly, he sees and knows more than we do. And we can infer from how they've played in games from what we've watched and also how he's talking that he's really trying to get this team locked into whatever identity it is they're going to be so that they do get to where he said he wanted them to be at the end of the season. Even though they have not won these major games, they're 0 for 4 in these big games. There are still goals within the ACC and making the NCAA tournament that he's obviously trying to not salvage, but set the tone going forward. And there's clearly some red flags. There's a through line with coaches at this time of the year. We referenced it yesterday when we talked about Hubert Davis and how he's trying to get intensity out of his group to not start slow in the first half. There's a through line with John Shire talking about the turnovers, sleepy December doldrums, that tune-up game before the next big game that you play. Those are common things that coaches do. There's a pattern and there's just a normal arc that goes to a season. But this is now multiple times that Will Wade has tried to, through various means, bring some edge to this group that's just not there, Joe.
Yeah, it's interesting messaging in this sense, right? Because you want, just like John, just like Hubert, they have a game on Sunday that you're trying to get them up and going for. But when you talk to your players, sometimes, obviously, you talk to them in the locker room. And obviously, you have different conversations with them, right? This about being the top 50. Like, let's just take a minute here to marvel at some of the lines. They're casual. Hope is a bad strategy. I've said this many times on this program. Kindergarten is over. Nice. I do have questions about the mistakes, though. Is that like when you the sanitation grade? You know what I mean? Like there's certain things like the ice is in the wrong spot or the right. Like there's certain things like you don't want like rat shit and stuff like that, right? But like other times you're like, man, we got a 92 because you know like the hairnet, what didn't have the right elasticity or you know what I mean? Yeah. 88 mistakes in a walkthrough. And only 36 of them were on offense and defense. That's where I'm getting at. Like, did they not clap hard enough?
I don't know.
Like, what were the other 52 mistakes? I
do not know.
Genuinely curious now what the other 52 mistakes were.
Yeah.
So let's give them credit for that. The communication, though, now I'm wondering how much do the players really watch these clips? How much do they watch the press conference? You could communicate with your players that way, but is he not communicating with the fans? Here as well? He is. Because just as we've received some feedback from some fans, not all fans, but some fans.
The vocal fans.
Some fans are like, no, our net is this. Or somebody sent me some random stat the other day I've never seen before.
They're like
BPI. BPI or whatever. And I'm like.
They're like Ken Palm 28. Their net rankings. Their net rankings fine. Yes, there's the BPI. There's all that kind of stuff.
None of that matters.
I know.
Your opponent's numbers matter, not yours. And what the wins that you get matter, not your numbers.
Yes.
So I wonder if he's not trying to communicate to the fans, like, stop pumping their tires and stop thinking we're okay.
Yeah.
Because we're not. And I wonder if that's not part of his messaging here, because as we know, a lot of what he does is he's trying to get everybody on that same page. He wants everybody singing from the same sheet. He wants the choir, right? So that's an interesting way of going about it. He's a different coach, man. Like he's got a standard.
Hey.
And I think I think both the fans and the players need to realize that he has a standard of what he's used to. And when he talks about his top 50 players, I'll go back to my trip up to Richmond back in 2017 when I went and saw his team play. And I'm like, I can see why these guys are successful. And I can see what they're trying to do. I can see the folded up play sheet in his back pocket and the standard that he has and the way that his team, the very particular way he wants his team to play. This NC State team does not play that way. Does not have that DNA. Does not have those traits that I would typically associate with one of his teams.
It's funny you mentioned the standard and how he's communicating. We've talked about this a lot related to the Carolina Hurricanes. And we'll talk to Maniscalco about this a little bit later on. And it's a recurring theme with the Canes in that you have to adjust how you view this team based on the standard that Rod Brind'Amour has set and what they've done since 2019. This is not about like, just get into the playoffs and we're good. No, the expectations have raised, and you've seen, and we saw it last year, fans booing this team because they did not live up to what they had set themselves up for. You see what I'm getting at? And you have to shift how you talk about the Carolina Hurricanes. If this is the standard that you set and you want to win the Stanley Cup, well, then there's going to be a little bit different criticism as we talk about you as the season goes on. And I think that's probably the thing that has bothered me in the discourse around NC State. Will Wade is literally trying to change how we talk about NC State from when he got here and what's going on now. And the fans need to also understand that as well. If he's trying to change the conversation and the expectations around NC State, you also need to change how we talk about NC State. And if you're mad that we're pointing out that Will Wade and this crew have not lived up to that standard, you're mad at us for that. Are you mad at Will Wade for basically saying the same thing? That this isn't good enough?
That's okay when it comes from...
I know. It's the messenger.
What do you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's coming from the messenger. Totally understand that. But understand what I'm saying. This bullshit about we're one shot away from beating Kansas. Not the point. The point is you're supposed to beat Kansas. Well, they're going in the right direction. Or I can see where this is going. Do you? Because clearly Will Wade is still very not happy with what he sees right now with another opportunity this weekend. So this cavalier attitude of, well, they still have all these Q1 opportunities. Look at this and look at that. Right. But even the coach is telling you, hey, man, we got a lot of stuff we got to work on right now. So you also have to change how you talk about NC State. And if Will Wade wants us to talk about NC State differently because it's a completely different mindset, well, then everything has to catch up to it. I think we're doing that. I think he's doing that. Now I think NC State fans need to catch up.
Sorry. I promise I'm going to get better about this. I really do. We also have bingo card. If we want to put up a Giglio bingo card in the studio.
Yeah.
He brought up the South Carolina game last night.
He did, didn't he? It's one thing that you love about John Shire, bringing up that Tennessee game.
Shire keeps bringing up Tennessee.
I know. He brought up the South Carolina game.
He brought up the South Carolina game when he said, yeah, a bunch of my guys went to a concert the night before. But Paul McNeil was working on his game, and that's why I drew up the play for Paul McNeil. And I was like, huh.
Now, speaking of singing from the same sheet, it seems like Carolina Panthers fans have been singing from the same sheet as it relates to the referees this week. I had a couple of listeners send me this clip from a podcast that goes by CarterCast. It actually references the gambling movement that was on the Panthers going into the game against the New Orleans Saints, right?
Yep.
So here's the clip, and we'll go from there.
One of the least penalized teams in the NFL. All of a sudden, Panthers are the most bet on team. All you see social posts all morning is Panthers. Everybody's betting the Panthers. Panthers are the most public team. 80% of the bets are on the Panthers. Everybody's on Carolina. And then you see 11 penalties for 102 yards. And not just that, every single one of those penalties just came at the most crucial times, whether it was 3rd and long or just right in the end zone. Every single penalty was so backbreaking. It's just, what do you do? And then you get the inconsistent slides not being called, like Bryce goes down, slides, gets nailed, no call. Then meanwhile, Tyler Shuck slides, goes down, gets the call, exact same play, and there's just no consistency with it. That's my problem is if you're going to ref these games, you got to ref them consistently.
Well, I mean, have you ever watched an NFL game before? I mean, consistency is always the thing that they're striving for. But I need one clarification before I move on to the other ref stuff that's been surrounding the Panthers this week. What Can you explain, like, I'm 5, why all that money on the Panthers early on? I know you referenced it earlier in the week, but I feel like I need more clarification as to why this matters.
No, it's just the general premise that if it was that easy, everybody would do it. Right?
Yeah.
So if everybody was right, we would all be rich. So anytime you see big public money like that on a team, the book is sitting there going, okay, because we're either going to win really, really big, or we're going to take a bath.
Okay.
And what we know about those casinos and sports books and betting sites is most of them do really, really well and have really, really nice interiors.
They do.
Have
Vegas looks
big shiny areas. I know there was a competitor of DraftKings that closed this week, but for the most part, it's actually 2 competitors closed this month in state of North Carolina. For the most part, like, you want to talk about things you really got to screw up if you to get something wrong. You did something extremely wrong in your life if you can't run a sports book. Let me just first of all say that. But no, anytime there's a lot of money or a lot of teams, if it was that easy, everybody would get it right.
Right. Like, I always joke, there's a reason why Las Vegas looks the way that it looks. Because they're always going to win in the grand scheme of things. So that's why I was like, why are people obsessing over all the public money? Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, about the calls and things like that.
Also, by the way, just a slight tangent before we get into the actual part of what the NFL admitted they got wrong.
Yeah.
So you're trying to tell me, like, the NBA has had all these problems, not only with a rogue referee and Tim Donaghy back in the day.
Oh, that was way back in the day.
But also, like, now players with
the prop bets. Specifically the prop bets.
But the NFL hasn't had a hide nor hair of a problem since Calvin Ridley.
The only issues...
Put the Falcons in a parlay. Is that what you're really trying to tell me?
Yeah, the only
Or the NFL had players who were placing bets from the locker room with the team playing when they didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, so we're supposed to believe that only the NBA millionaires have had problems. Only the NBA referees had problems. I'm not sitting here telling you it's a conspiracy. All I'm just saying to you, these are human beings. Like, so you just sit here and tell me that the referees in an NFL game don't know the line. I'm sorry. That's silly. You're being very naive as to what's happening. And I'm not suggesting that the Chiefs got some sort of conspiratorial. I got all these people to work in concert together to put the Chiefs in the Super Bowl all these years. But, like, to sit here and think like there's not some of this in play, or that you don't have one rogue player or referee out there, that's you're not being honest with yourself.
I don't disagree with you. I think most of the NFL issues have just been with players making bets on things that aren't necessarily NFL related in areas that they're not supposed to be doing.
Correct.
And,
and
from the facility.
From that.
Yeah,
I don't know how geofencing works, but now you do.
Now you do. Like, oh, you were placing bets on whatever in
top of Filipino basketball.
And
maybe.
I feel like this is an opportunity for you to tell a quick story, actually, since you brought up tippy top of basketball. These books know what you're doing. Okay, when you go into the apps, so much so that you Joe Giglio, got a freaking email from DraftKings saying, hey, how are you doing this? Do you want to read the email?
Yeah.
Read the email, Joe.
Yeah. So tell me you have a gambling problem without telling me you have a gambling problem. Because I can't even pronounce it. We are writing you in regards to bets you placed on DraftKings Sportsbook. You previously placed wagers on the Maharlika Pilipinas Basketball League markets, which were unapproved in your jurisdiction. As a result, your wagers on this markets have been settled as void.
How did you do that?
The results of this settlement are reflected in your bet history, and the full amount of your wagers has been returned to your account. Thank you for your patience and loyalty. Regards, DraftKings. And at first I'm like, okay, well, maybe they made a mistake. I don't know. But then I got another email this morning. You may have, dear Joseph, you may have recently received an email about voiding the Maharlika Pilipinas basket. You might think I'm saying this wrong, but it's Pili Pilipinas Basketball League markets. We apologize for any confusion this may have caused. Our team is currently working in the process of voiding these wagers, and you will see funds for your bets on your account shortly.
So wait a minute. You were able to access these things.
I don't know if I was like in a state at the time, like, because different states have different rules.
Okay.
Of things that you can bet
You weren't
on.
like on a VPN trying to make.
No.
Because I was sitting here thinking, I'm like, look at you advancing your game, knowing how VPNs work.
No. Remember, I couldn't get the VPN during the pandemic.
That's why I asked.
No,
I was like,
no. Remember, I had to drive to Virginia.
I know.
Yeah.
Did you drive to Virginia and make these bets? Like, I don't know.
It could just be from a state where I was. I don't know when the bets were made either.
Oh, okay.
Like seriously, like a lot of this stuff is like a fever dream.
Are you okay? Do we have to have a talk?
Well, as long as Aaron keeps letting me cover AP games.
All right, then we're good. Yeah, but anyway, so I see what your point is. There's a lot of people keeping an eye on these types of things. And this
right down to
this. So that's why I wanted to read that email. So the point that I'm getting at here is, this idea of a conspiracy or the refs know, yada, yada, yada. Like, these books know, man, and they'll flag it. That's how all of these.
Hopefully, but then.
And I know how some listeners view what I'm about to say or repeat myself here, but it has to be said. There's too much at stake for the DraftKings and the FanDuels and everybody else to make sure that these things are right. Okay. And they will flag these things and let the leagues know what's going on. That's how you end up with these suspensions. So this idea that, something's funny here, or my personal favorite, some Panthers fans who are convinced they just don't want the Panthers in the playoffs. The NFL just looks at it as bad ratings. They're trying to keep the Panthers out. Like, what are you talking about? And then you see stuff like this from Pro Football Talk, that the NFL privately admitted to the Panthers that replay review erroneously reversed an on-field ruling on a fourth quarter catch by Teteroa McMillan. Now, this was in the fourth quarter, just before the 2-minute warning. They overturned it. Now, this ended up being immaterial. The Panthers continued on their drive, but they privately admitted, hey, man, we got this thing wrong in that process. And then when you add this to, I'll just bring up this tweet from Joe Person, because Dave Canales met with the media yesterday. Joe Person, who covers the Panthers for The Athletic, he tweets this out at 2:40 in the afternoon yesterday. This is interesting, in talking about how Mike Evans of the Buccaneers, who they see this weekend, forces defensive backs into physical play because of his size and his catch radius. Dave Canales notes that the Sean Smith-led officiating crew that's working the Panthers-Bucs game has a history of calling a lot of pass interference. So I thought that was a very clever way of just kind of throwing it out there by Dave Canales, that we're paying attention to all these things. Now,
Phil Jackson style was the master of that.
But here's what I will say to that. I understand the lament and the officiating can be very inconsistent, and I don't disagree with whether that clip from Carter Cast or anybody else, that all we're asking for is consistency. Totally with you on that. But also keep in mind that the Atlanta Falcons beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Thursday Night Football, having committed 19 penalties. Okay. Not 19, not 11 like the Panthers did this past weekend against the Saints. 19. I just feel that when we obsess over the officiating, we are delving into kind of loser mentality when we talk about that kind of stuff. Officiating is not the reason why you lost that game. The reason why the Panthers lost that game to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is a whole litany of issues, from play calling to Bryce Young not elevating, to offensive line play, to Teteroa McMillan getting hurt, having some rookies up and down, Ransom having rookie up and downs and making a play he shouldn't have made when he got flagged for that
legit
late
penalty.
hit. It was a legit penalty, right? I get the sentiment about the Bryce Young thing, but yeah, man, in that situation, they're going to call a penalty, right? So I just don't like getting all too wrapped up into what's going on here. But about the Panthers and the Bucs, and I feel like we got to get into the tell me something good. The win-loss, up and down for the Carolina Panthers actually works out in their favor.
Sets up nicely if they can pull it off. If they complete the square here.
If they can do this, it actually helps themselves out, because the Panthers will make the playoffs if they sweep the Bucs. They play the Bucs this weekend, and then they play the Bucs at the end of the year, which I'm convinced, as we are going in this direction, that is going to be the Sunday Night Football marquee game. The NFC South dumpster fire that is the Bucs and the Panthers. Somebody's got to get into the playoffs to win this division, right? Where they'll both be 8-8. It's going to be amazing. But if you keep the win-loss, well, all you got to do is sweep the Bucs to get in. So it starts this weekend, then you lose to Seattle, and then you'll beat the Bucs in the last week of the season. Sounds like a plan to me, right?
Except I feel like the Panthers are going to lose this week.
Nope.
Because no, they're going to beat Seattle. Remember, they play unbelievable when they play the good teams.
Nope. Joe, tell me something good. I'm looking at the DraftKings Sportsbook app, and the Carolina Panthers are a 3-point dog at home.
Oh, that's good. That is actually good.
That is actually good for the Carolina Panthers. You're asking why? Why is that good for the Carolina Panthers? Well, Joe, Carolina has won 6 games this season in which they are the betting dog. That is the most of any NFL team in 2025. And they are home dogs to the Buccaneers. 6 wins. No other team has pulled off what the Panthers have pulled off being a dog in Vegas. So everything's lining up for the Panthers this weekend, man. The universe is... Do I crack this open right now?
Whoa.
This is lukewarm beer. Do I need to drink this Super Bowl 50 beer right now?
No.
Or do I wait?
In case of emergency.
Do I wait? Do I wait for the last week of the season?
Although, let's wait.
That's right. All right. I'm going to wait for the last game of the season. So, look, man, the vibes are there. Win, loss. Vegas dogs. I like where it's headed for the Carolina Panthers. Also, it's not like Baker Mayfield's been playing all that hot. Dude's got 5 interceptions and 1 fumble in the last 5 games, 6 touchdowns.
He's been limping to the finish here.
He is limping to the finish line.
That was a bad loss.
Yes, it was.
The Thursday night loss to Atlanta. They were up 28-14.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dead. They were dead. Atlanta's already been eliminated from the playoffs. So it's not like they had anything. And it was Kirk Cousins and his questionable meat choices. Like,
well, I mean, you saw that man grill, right?
yes.
It looked like bloody hearts on a grill. Marbled. I mean, like, what are we doing here, man? As I mentioned, yes, the Carolina Panthers are 3-point dogs to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday. Of course, looking at the DraftKings Sportsbook app, these lines and odds are subject to change. I'm also a huge fan of their fun parlays. Like tonight, you got the Rams and Seattle. You got downhill dimes, Joe. Downhill dime. Back these running backs to hit their first quarter rushing milestones on Thursday Night Football. That's got $5 gang written all over it. I'm very excited about that. And of course, you got futures as well, as we discussed yesterday. Duke fans, you do not want Joe to take a ticket on Duke going forward. You do not want that. Just don't.
A wolf blood parlay of Cam Boozer and Caleb Downs to win championships.
I was actually looking at the ACC regular season conference winner, who's going to come out on top. Right now, Duke's the only one minus 130. Everybody else is plus. Louisville's plus 330. Virginia's plus 1,000. Miami's plus 1,300. Hey, right now, given how NC State, this ain't a kindergarten. Right now, NC State's plus 1,900 to pull this thing through, whereas Carolina's plus 1,300. So anyway, all the fun things you can do on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. So go check them out. Download that app today. And look, holiday football is here. We got bowl games already underway. We got college football playoff action. So with holiday football here, DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, the unexpected can turn game day into payday. So don't forget, DraftKings has your back with early exit. If your player goes down in the first half, you get paid in cash. You still get paid in cash. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use that promo code OG25. Again, that's OG25. New customers can bet just $5. You'll get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins instantly. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, pass through a per wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. It is a limited time offer. Housekeeping is brought to you by our friends at Enovana. Check them out online at enovana.com.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
A little bit of housekeeping. Next week's broadcast schedule will include a podcast on Monday, a regular podcast on Monday. We got enough to talk about, plenty to get into on a Monday. Anybody can podcast on a Monday, Joe.
Anybody.
We got NC State bowl games. We got the college football playoff. We got the Panthers and the Bucs to talk about. And then we will unleash we
fury.
We will gift to you a nearly 3-hour OG 2025 year in review. We will basically go over our greatest hits. This is basically our way of saying, y'all, we got nothing but bangers on this podcast. Nothing but bangers. Okay? So we'll go through that. That'll be in your feeds Christmas morning. We're going to drop it on midnight. So get the Yule log going. Open up some OG gifts.
OG Light.
Oh, crack open an OG Light. Pour it in your eggnog.
OG Light and orange juice, I think someone said.
Oh, for Santa?
Drew?
For Santa, yeah.
I think Drew said he liked an OG with some OJ.
Okay. Well, I see where you're going with that.
He liked it.
So all that will be in your feeds on Christmas morning. So, and then we'll be back the following week for a listener episode, listener-focused episode with the OG Sports Phone. So call the OG Sports Phone.
And curse or don't.
Y'all know the jingle.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports Phone and curse or don't.
So essentially what we're looking for is kind of your thoughts on 2025. You got something right, you got something wrong, got like Festivus, issues with the show, call.
Yeah, your dad wrote a letter.
And we'll look back.
Yeah.
We will look back on 2025. So again, call the OG Sports Phone and we'll put that thing together for New Year's. Big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Speaking of the new year, I know you're already thinking about, my kids were asking me about spring break last night. What are we doing for spring break? Like, man, let's get through the holidays first before we start thinking about spring break. But maybe you're thinking about improving your backyard for next spring and summer. Hey, Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority can help you out with that. And also with the ups and downs of the weather this time of year, it's 20 degrees one day, it's 60 degrees the next. We got rain tonight. That could be moisture in your crawl space. Moisture barriers can be handled by our friends at Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. So check them out online at bugsbite.com. Speaking of family coming into town with the holidays, you're looking for things to do. Take them to Longleaf. Get them out of the house. You can get OG Light there. Longleafswine.com. You're also running out of time if you want to get your stuff catered. So head on over to longleafswine.com. Speaking of grilling and whatnot, maybe you're not getting it catered by Longleaf Swine. You've gone to the butcher's market. You got your meats. You're ready to throw it on the grill. What's the condition of your grill? You've been putting that bad boy through work? Give it some love this Christmas. Give the gift of a clean grill for yourself and for your outdoor kitchen or your tailgating setup. So go to ncgrillrescue.com. Again, that's ncgrillrescue.com. Also, big thanks to Bloomin' Blinds. They brought you the After Darks this football season. You can check them out online at bloominblinds.com or call them directly at 919-980-9815. They'll even buy your blinds. So check it out. 919-980-9815, bloominblinds.com. That's inblinds.com. You get 10 or more window treatments. You're going to get 10% off. And it's not just for your house. Do you have a office building? Are you a decision maker at your school? And your poor kids, every afternoon, you get that sun coming through. Update them with our friends at Bloomin' Blinds. Again, call them directly at 919-980-9815. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline from The Athletic, he is Brendan Marks. Are you a casual, Brendan?
I hope not. That's a dangerous word these days.
No, you're not a casual. You're a ball knower. That's what you are. Look, we started the show. I was not expecting to start the show talking about NC State hoops, but of course, Will Wade drops a heater of a press conference last night. So we started with that before we got into some Panthers stuff. Your old haunts. Man, can you imagine having to cover this thing every week?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it wasn't great when I got out.
Yeah.
You don't want to get into the ups and downs cycle. Hey, look, like I said, good news for the Panthers. If it continues on this path, win-loss, well, you'll beat the Bucs this week, you'll lose the following week, and then you'll beat the Bucs again, and that's all you have to do. What's the big deal?
Listen, they've come a long way from Devin Funchess dog whistling at reporters to come talk to him in the locker room.
Shit, I forgot about bunches of Funchess. Anyway, all right, so we brought you on because I wanted to hit on some things as we are in the December doldrums, right? The classic. Every single one of these teams plays a team that they should handily beat, but they're coming out of exams. It's, the competition. The coaches get to talk about intensity. Like there's a pattern to these things. And we discussed this with Will Wade already, but I want to get your thoughts on NC State's season so far. They've had 4 big games. They've come up short in all of those games. And we now have 2 recent Will Wade press conferences where he's called out his team. And I asked this question to Giglio yesterday. I'm going to ask you this question. What is this NC State basketball team right now? What is their identity versus what do you think Will Wade wants this team to be based on how he's been talking about it?
I think the second half of that is definitely easier to answer than the first half. I mean, I think by design, what Will would want this team to be, to my understanding, he wants them to be fast offensively. He wants them to, push the pace, share the ball, shoot a ton of threes, which they do. And then defensively, he wants them to press. He wants them to be aggressive. He wants to force turnovers. I mean, he wants to turn these games into kind of a track meet. But you can't do that when defensively you're guarding guys from the paint. Mm-hmm. As for what they are right now, I don't know. I don't think he knows. I don't think they really have much of an identity right now. They are a sometimes explosive offense that has nothing to stand on with the bulk of the non-conference done. I mean, even if they beat Ole Miss, I mean, that's not a seed bump win as you guys would call it, right? Like that's almost a bare necessity at this point. So there's enough games left on the schedule. They can still be a tournament team, but I mean, it's hard to call this anything but a disappointing start for NC State, especially with all the bluster and talk that's been coming out of Raleigh ever since he was hired.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole construction of the team to me just seems off.
Yeah.
You've
been saying
the
that.
Names that he said yesterday were Kadir and Van Allen Lubin. And I said that he seems to be building around those two. He's saying, fuck it, the rest of this stuff. These two guys are so showing some leadership, and they're showing some aggressiveness. They're showing some urgency, right?
Yeah.
Then the thing about names, Brendan, when you have a family and you have kids, and people ask you, well, how are your kids doing? And as a parent, you have to make a choice. Like, which one am I going to talk about first? Right? You're making an intentional choice when you do that. Hey, how are the boys doing? Well, yeah, James, he's a junior. He's to you. He's got 3 semesters left.
It tells you what your mindset is. With me, it's like, well, Caleb, man, we're just trying to get him to graduate, man. We're trying to get to the finish line
when
here.
You say Kadir and Ven, who you're not saying is the preseason player of the year.
Yeah.
Who you're not saying is the Michigan State transfer who you thought was going to be this VCU-esque, Baltimore tough-esque guard. And I keep going back to my trip up to VCU in 2017 to go figure out what Will Wade was all about. And other than the sousaphone and everything else that the VCU pep band has, which is tremendous, I left that place going, these guys are tough. Baltimore, Northern Virginia, Norfolk, just all the toughness you want.
Yeah.
Athletic as all get out. I wouldn't trust them to drop the ball in the ocean from a boat. But, man, they're going to get the hell after you. They're going to play defense on you. They're going to get after you. And that's why I keep coming back to this construction. Either you go back to VCU and you get the ultra tough kids, the Baltimore, DC, Norfolk, Tidewater kids, and say, come on, let's go. Or, you go into the portal and you spend this money. And shit, man, you're the one to quote Bill Parcells, you bought the ingredients. You bought the groceries, man. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Yesterday was weird to me.
Yesterday,
a little weird.
Well, it's not just that he's not mentioning some of those. I mean, like the end of the Kansas game, the last 5 minutes of regulation and in overtime. Yesterday, who's not starting? Not just Darion because he's hurt. Trey Holmes not. I mean,
right.
All due respect to Breed, but you were bringing him and Kadir. I mean, I remember having a conversation with Will in the preseason about Kadir Copeland, and he had been impressive at that point. He'd been better than they thought they'd been, and I was like, did you bring him in to sort of be this? Because you obviously brought in all these other guards too. And his sentiment was basically like, no, I thought that Q could help us in some regard. Probably as like a first or second guard off the bench. I figured I could do worse at that position. the fact that he has now become the quote unquote emotional leader, the driver, the guy who you're basically letting play ISO ball at the end against Kansas, like that's an indictment of the rest of this team.
Yeah.
And I think there were fair questions about like the roster in the beginning. Like obviously the front court is what it is. But Darion Williams, you're right. Darion Williams is not that hyper athletic guy. You know, he's skilled. And I think the thing that I would say about this NC State team, to your point, Joe, about what's their identity right now, they're a finesse team. And I don't think that Will wants his team to be a finesse team.
No. So moving off of NC State over to Carolina and Duke, and what Will Wade's saying is no different. Like I said at the jump, Hubert Davis is also questioning the intensity of his team to start these games, as we saw against ETSU. Now, the final score is not indicative of how that game started. Yeah, Caleb Wilson and Vasar had a fantastic second half, 46 points, 16 boards. That's great to see. The questions around Carolina and what they want to be, we still don't have the answer on the backcourt. And some of that is related to the fact that Seth Trimble has been out with injury. I know he's getting closer to coming back, but it actually ties back, Brendan, to a conversation we had a couple of weeks ago in the development of the backcourt and where we were starting and where we might end up when we get into conference play. All things considered, Carolina's had a great start to the year with some really nice wins. But you can also tell that they got a little bit of a higher ceiling if they can get that backcourt settled. I mean, is that where we're at right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say of the three triangle teams so far, I think I would say that I think Carolina is the furthest from reaching their potential so far. And they're, this is the best start they've had ever under Huber. They've got the non-conference wins against Kansas and against Georgetown and, the only losses to Michigan State on a neutral. Like, that's a great resume so far. But as like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, I absolutely think that it's viable that by March, the two guards who are presently not starting for Carolina, Derek Dixon and Seth Trimble, are the starting backcourt. Evans has been good. He's had I think it's 11 assists, no turnovers the last couple of games. Hubert Davis said we just need him to hit singles. That's what he's doing. Sure, that's fine. I think that Dixon overall just raises their ceiling more. I think that Evans is a safe floor, but Dixon has the size defensively. Like, ultimately, this team, the reason Jaren Stevenson continues to start at the three is because of the defense. Stevenson, Visar, and Wilson, that is a monstrous 3 through 5. You put Derek Dixon in there, you put Seth Trimble in there, that could be a defense that we're talking about as a top 10 defense in the country, which, they did 2 years ago when they were a 1 seed and won the ACC. That, to me, I think is the recipe for Carolina still. And I think that those two guys get you closer there than Bogovats and Evans, who are both still helpful, good players. But I just think that the ceiling is higher with the other two. And again, no disrespect to Evans, but you're just never going to be that kind of defensive team with him. He's going to get picked on. He's going to foul. I still think he can be a helpful piece, but for Carolina to be a team that conceivably can challenge a Duke at the top of the ACC and make a run in the tournament, I think that by the end of the season, Dixon will have them more in line with that trajectory.
Let's play my favorite parlor game.
Okay.
Whose roster would you rather have?
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Duke or Carolina's?
Man.
I mean, we know who the number one overall draft pick of those two teams is.
It's like, well, which
one
one
has been the most accomplished?
Which one has Cam Boozer?
Right. But Caleb Wilson's not far behind, man.
Yeah, I know.
I think top to bottom, I trust Carolina's parts right now more than I trust Duke's parts.
They have more parts.
They definitely have more parts. I don't think that's a question.
Yeah.
I think I will be interested to see if once Seth Trimble is back and once Dixon continues buying minutes, can Hubert get the role definition right?
Yeah.
That's what he did so well 2 years ago. Those guys all knew their role. Cormac Ryan, you were the shooter. Ingram, you were the rebounder, the emotional. RJ, you're the bucket getter. Everybody knew their role.
Yeah.
I think that's what John has been best at so far as a head coach at Duke. I think he's still, that's a work in progress there right now. What are you getting on the wing? On a game-to-game basis, how do we continue to get touches for Nganga down low? If somehow Cam Boozer struggles like he did in the first half against Lipscomb, like what? He's looking around the room like Travolta. Like, where else do I go?
Yeah.
I think right now that the pieces Carolina has, I trust a little bit more right now, which is a crazy thing to say.
I don't know who put the stat out yesterday, but I try not to. I get it. Like, Cooper Flagg's really good. He had like this really good year last year. Like, these are all like I'm stating obvious things, right? He's just a perfectly acceptable
Cooper
NBA
Flag,
player
good
as
at,
well.
good at basketball.
Good at basketball.
Way to go.
Yeah, ball
Yeah.
guard,
Yeah.
But I don't think it was Duke because it would be interpreted the way that I did.
Yeah.
Somebody put out like, hey, Cameron Boozer's the first player in his first 11 games to have X amount of points, X amount of rebounds, and X amount of assists. And I was like,
I've been trying to say.
but I'm sorry, I was told that Cooper Flag is the best freshman in the history of basketball. And it's like, oh, here we are, just literally 11 games later, and they have a player who's better. Like,
Everything that I've said about Cooper Flag, Cameron Boozer this year is that everybody was told. Cooper Flag was the thing we were told. This was the thing. And I'm not saying statistically he wasn't good. It's just that we kept being told, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. At some point, you just got to watch it and go, okay, I get it now. Boozer's made that abundantly clear from the jump, and he has the stats to back that up. It's that simple to me.
Yeah, the Cooper thing is it's also quantifying defense is just it's innately harder.
Yeah.
And I do think that Boozer had some defensive struggles against Lipscomb, but how could I'll say this, I was wrong. I didn't think Boozer would be this good right away.
I was going to say, you and everybody else. I mean,
I thought he'd be good. I thought he'd be like an 18-8 kind of guy. Yeah. I didn't think
Look, nobody was saying Duke was going to fall off and miss the tournament. It's
right.
We all recognize that every recruiting class is different. Last year's team, as we know, it wasn't just Cooper Flag. It was a roster that was built to go where it did, which was go to the Final Four with a chance to win. And they almost got to the championship game. But you know what? Shire learns his lessons. This was viewed as another one of these classic post-year
that team
where you like these guys, they know their roles, the ceiling isn't as high, but hey man, they're still going to be good. And so far, Duke's lived up to that.
Yeah, I think that outside of Boozer and Ngongba, though, who has been probably better than I thought he'd be,
sure.
I think those are the only two guys I'd say that about at Duke right now. Evans, he's doing more. He's definitely doing more. He's actually playing defense. He's attempting twos, which is a revelation.
Foster is the up and the down. I feel like Isaiah Evans isn't getting as much run in this conversation. I think he's played well.
Yeah, the 3-point shot hasn't fallen as consistently, but I think anybody who expected him with his volume to shoot 44% again, that was never going to happen. But yeah, Foster, but Evans hasn't been consistent still. I mean, yes, he hit the shot against Florida. The rest of that game, he's not giving you much.
Right.
He had moments against Michigan State, but that's a physical game. And as talented and skilled as he is, he's not the most physical player in the world. He's been up and down. Foster's been up and down. Sar and Hemenia have been up and down. Malik Brown, I think, has been good, but he's only going to play 15 to 20 minutes a game. He's going to be good when he does. He was great against Lipscomb. I just think that there's still a lot of what are these guys and what can they be? I don't even know if John has the answer to what can these guys be right now. And I think that even last year when he was still working on the rotation, he put Sion in the starting lineup in December and it was okay, I think he can be what he became.
Yeah.
I don't think he has those answers right now, even with some of those guys that I just mentioned.
I love that John knows the history, right? So well. His team in 10.
Yeah.
Right? Remember, it was Zubek after January that it was all of a sudden, it was where the hell did this guy go?
Well, even John himself was
I know.
into the guard spot.
But remember, that year was a steal. That year was the makeup for 99.
Of course.
It just so happened to be the year that he won it.
Yeah.
So when we have this conversation with him about the makeup, it usually doesn't come the very next year that you get the makeup for the year that you didn't win it.
John's speed running a bunch of stuff right now. I mean,
so
100 wins.
Zubek? Who's the Zubek? Who's the Mr. Who's the Brady Manic who breaks out in January and all of a sudden you're like, where did this come from?
Well, we don't know. It's separate.
Maybe it's him. Maybe it's Sar.
But here's the thing. To your point, Joe, it has to be someone. I don't think that this Duke team in its current rotational status has 6 games in it.
Yeah.
I think somebody, it's got to be somebody. Maybe it's Evans, maybe it's Foster, maybe it's one of those wings we just mentioned. Maybe it's Darren Harris becoming just a dependable 20-minute a game, 9 points a game kind of guy.
I forgot he was on the team. All right, we got about a minute before you got to go.
Yep.
Outside the triangle, Wake Forest is just kind of there, right? I lost track. Did they win last night?
Yes, by 3.
We're about a minute away from Wake Forest getting credit for taking Michigan to overtime. Sorry.
Okay.
The way they're fucking murder balling people.
So this is my question. This is my question. Is this it? Is it finally happening for Forbes this year? What's going on? Is it happening?
It's they don't have anything in the non-conference. Like it's
here we are again.
Same as it ever was.
Same as it
ever was. Right. But I will be in Deektown on Sunday against Vanderbilt to view it myself. Taking a trip to Deektown.
Steve Forbes is the classic case of a coach that's good for the league in terms of how he represents himself, his thoughts, his media availabilities, all that stuff. But he just needs his damn team to back it up by making the freaking tournament already. Just make the damn tournament already.
If he had that one Laravia team, man, if they were in, the whole narrative around him's different.
I agree. Brendan Marks, The Athletic, we appreciate the time as always, man. We'll talk to you later.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys. Happy holidays.
So last night, I get back from Enloe because they had their winter concert.
Yeah. Let's put that on the Instas.
I put a little Instagram story on there as Caleb and the crew, the marching band, were doing their marching band show for the winter ensemble or for the winter concert, right? So I get home last night, kind of hungry, and I open up the freezer, just kind of rummaging around. And what do I see there looking back at me like, hey, how you doing? What's up? It's a pint of Two Roosters. I did not realize there were still some reindeer tracks left.
You're big on those right now.
I thought the kids destroyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong. I opened up the freezer and there was the pint. I went, oh, hello there. How you doing? Let's have a little quality time on the couch while I watch the Hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a fun night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could be your kind of night. All you got to do is go to Two Roosters. Go to tworoosters.com. Speaking of the Canes, go to a Canes game here over the holidays. You can get a Slavin Sunday.
Next month? No, the 29th is
at the arena.
Rangers game.
Go do the thing. Hey, maybe you love Two Roosters so much you want to live next to a Two Roosters. Just contact our friends at Hometown Realty and say, hey, look, I need access to a Two Roosters 24/7. We got you, fam. We'll find you a house nearby. So check them. You want to be near Two Roosters in a butcher's market? Hey, you can be by that Lake Boone spot. Hometown Realty can help you find a house. So check them out online at myhtr.com. Again, that's myhtr.com. And of course, our friends at Whitaker and Hamer, you can check them out online at wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer. Attorneys and counselors at law and small and medium-sized business, doing something like closing on a house that you just bought with our friends at Hometown Realty. All sorts of things. They can help you out. They got locations all across the triangle. So again, check them out online at wh.lawyer. Morgan, the hockey pig, is on your screen, which means it's time to talk some hockey. Mike Maniscalco, Canes play-by-play, joining us now on the Heiser Automotive Group hotline. When we chat with Mike Maniscalco, it's always brought to you by our friends at Brassfield Accounting. Chris Brassfield and the crew are going to help you out with fractional CFOing.
Man, now's the time of the year that you need it.
Now is the time.
Let me tell you.
I need a fractional CFO to help me get some apartments down here in South Florida.
Yeah, where are you?
Amazing.
Where are you right now? It is gorgeous blue skies down in South Florida. Where are you?
We are Fort Lauderdale. I can throw a baseball to the beach from where I am.
Amazing.
I am sitting here right now.
Amazing. So go to brassfieldaccounting.com. Based in Homer, Alaska, but there is an office in the RTP. If you need any sort of paperwork corralled up or things like HR, that's what a fractional CFO is for. So check out brassfieldaccounting.com. All right. So Sebastian Aho, dry spell over, Mike. We're here.
Yeah.
Scored last night. Everything is okay in this world. We can be sarcastic about it, but I do think there's been one kind of through line for as good as the Carolina Hurricanes have been, and they're atop the Eastern Conference. It's what we're looking for is the top end talent to consistently do it. Depth scoring is a buzzword. It's a thing that they want. It's great that Jordan Stahl can score. It's great that Jordan Martinook can score. But you're looking for those top end guys to really cook like this. And when Aho goes a while without a goal and make a big deal out of it last night, I can see why people are just kind of focused on Aho at this point in the season with the ups and the downs.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that. I mean, he went 5 games without a point, and that is basically unheard of now in his career because he's a point-per-game player. And I think that's where you get concerned. But the funny thing is, and I'm not pointing this stick back at you, Joe. This would be any conversation. If you didn't get the depth scoring, right? If you didn't have 9 goals from Jordan Stahl and contributions from Taylor Hall, who technically is, and Rod Brindamore doesn't number his lines, but he's technically on the 4th line. That's his regular shift. If you didn't have those guys contributing, the question would be, can you sustain it with just one line? That's the Oilers' problem. It's all McDavid and Draisaitl, right? So, it's our job right now to get to this. And I hate doing this to you guys because I've gotten to a really good rapport with you guys as we understand what this season is about for Carolina, which is we're going to have these questions. And at the end of the day, these questions only are going to matter when we get to the end of the schedule and it's game 1 through 7 of the first round and 1 through 7 of the second round when these things don't show up. That's the judgy thing now. So for me, it was great to see Aho get the 2 goals against Nashville because, it does bother him. He is one of those guys. He won't tell you because it's a personal stat. The only thing that matters to him is winning, but he wants to be one of the guys who feels like the reason we're winning is because of what I do and how I can play. Andrei Svechnikov is very much like that. But, this is a whole group that they can find a way, and it's the amazing thing for me, to put the ego aside as long as they're winning. Like that really is the truth with this group. So was there some concern? I think for me, there would have been if this drought would have continued for Sebastian Aho, but he does what he does. He breaks out in a big way with 2 goals and an assist, and I know that one's an empty net goal. But it was, and by the way, 2 Dragon Slade Joes that you would have asked me about because it was a power play goal that he scored. So yeah, I know.
Shout out to Corey Lavaletta, who had one of the great posts of all time by saying the PP looks terrible. I'm like, look, man, you get to a certain age, it is what it is. Also.
Yeah.
Stream is more important than look, though.
Hey, look, there
you
used
just
to be
want it to be effective from time to time.
Hey, there used to be a commercial on your broadcast that could have handled those things, but that's no more. That's no more.
Guys.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Mike, this is a safe space, so we could talk about these things.
No, that's how that commercial started out. Don't you remember?
No, I know. Guys. Well, we do have a music bump that is an homage to that entire thing. So yeah, look, I know what you're saying, and there is a tendency, and I'll admit that I struggle with this as we talk about the Hurricanes throughout the regular season, in that you're trying to balance the fact that they're here atop the Eastern Conference, and yet if you just went by the discourse online, you'd never know it. It's questions about Rod Brindamore and the shootout lineup. Like if he went with my lineup, wouldn't be as strong. Like it's all these kinds of things. The power play. I'm sure I could corral a couple of hockey dads tonight at Polar Ice Carry, and they would have all the solutions for Rod Brindamore on the power play if they just listened to him and things like that. So it really is an interesting balance when we talk about the Canes this season, in that you have the results, but we almost know that there's another gear to them. And I think that's the thing that we're all just kind of sitting back and waiting on.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely it. But we're right now, as recording this podcast, we're talking about a team that's won 5 in a row. Yeah. And 3 of them were in the shootout. I don't care if you have the special lineup that would have not, made it go to a 4th shooter against Philadelphia that one time. You've gotten the saves when you've needed them. And I know that that's a whole separate question that we'll probably get into here. But I think that because of where this team is now and the fact that they haven't gotten to a Stanley Cup final, the vocal minority, whatever you want to call it online. But, there's a lot, and I get it. People are like, we know this team's really good. Why aren't they winning the whole thing? And, this is a tough answer to give for a few folks. When they went in 19, that was a magical ride, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody saw it coming, and they lose to the Bruins, and the Bruins happened to be a hell of a hockey team with what they still had together. And now the last 2 finals trips, you lose to a really good team in the Florida Panthers, all right? So you understand all of that. But I do want to thank the folks online because, I'm like, all right, I have to be online. I have to, try to put this out there. And then I was told, well, no, you don't really need to be online. So Blue Sky, which was supposed to be the place where we're not going to be contrarian and say negative things. Luckily somebody, I just posted, I was trying to do a favor for folks like, hey, we're here and this is who the goalie is today. And people were like losing their mind over that and complaining to me. I'm like, the coaching staff knows what they're doing. This is what they said they were going to do all year. We go with that. So luckily I got to delete some social medias that I belong to because I just, I'll leave it on Twitter or whatever it is now, X, right? X, formerly Twitter, because I expect that to be the cesspool for people to lose their minds over. And it's much more comforting for me, guys. Thank you. We are near Festivus, and I feel like I'm having the airing of grievances right now.
Oh, I threw out. Yeah, my dad sent us a card about Festivus. He sent us a Festivus card complaining about the things we don't talk about on the podcast, things like that. Hey, man, I'm all about protecting your peace. Protect your peace, Mike. That's what
I left the arena the other day. Obviously, it's because Jacob Slavin played.
Yeah,
right. But now you have Ehlers is finally looking like the guy you gave.
Yeah.
Not finally, I'm not degrading him. I'm just saying, he's playing at the level where you're like, this is the number one asset that we went out and acquired this offseason.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of sitting here going, well, okay, but they've had 9 million injuries. Okay, well, now the defense looks like it's supposed to look like, at least in parts, right? Like, obviously, Jacob Slavin's going to need like a half a second to get back up to his 20-plus minutes a night. And I saw that he played some more last night against Nashville. Yep. But where we are in the cycle, maybe we need a board for every team. We need a cycle board for every team. I see Eric Tulsky down in the locker room, and Joe's the Tulsky whisperer, which obviously frustrates me that somebody likes Joe more than they like me, right? and so I struggle with that.
You really do struggle with the fact that
he is. So I bring this up because I could normally extract some information from people. I can normally work a little bit of that charm, but my charm is in such a way that you either enjoy the shit out of my charm or you want no part of my charm whatsoever. I think Tulsky's kind of in that. Prefer none of your charm, thank you. So I say all these. I present my shortcomings in a way.
This really is a safe space for all of us today. We're just out today. Let's all sit around and talk about our feelings.
I present my shortcomings in a way because, motherfucker, you can fool me once. You could even fool me twice, but you ain't fooling me a third time. They're going to make a move. And last year, the move was in January. The year before, the move was in March. But you're in Nashville last night. There's a Marchessault out there running around. Big shouts to Eric Holla. I guess we're not going to be able to beat him in the first round of the playoffs.
There's still time. There's still, hey,
if he's spreading water over there, could he get moved?
Trade deadline. He could get moved.
Okay.
Still time.
Bunting over there. A Stevie Stamkos. I wouldn't mind a Stevie Stamkos running some power play mileage for us.
It's funny you mentioned Holla, our friend Aaron over at Sound Off. He's like, I got a new bit for you where you guys sit around at a fire like storybook time and you open up a little storybook. You're like, all right, kids, let's explain why Canes fans hate Eric Holla and why we look forward to seeing him in the playoffs. That sort of thing. That might be a bit that we do. But anyway,
I say all this.
Quinn Hughes was out there and people were attached to that.
But Mike, did that even make sense to you that they would have needed defensive help? I feel like Anas Kadri is more of the bigger fish to fry, and not to be a prisoner of the moment, but obviously last year Panthers went and got an older veteran player whose name was already on the cup, and it helped them. And I feel like maybe that's the move this year. You go, I know there's some sexy Buffalo parts out there that Canes fans might, lust after, but it feels like to me, maybe go get one, a Marchessault, a Kadri, or someone like that who could give you that veteran, maybe power play punch.
I'll work.
That was a really long wind up to a question.
No. It's good because there's a lot to it, and I don't think that Tulsky does not enjoy the Giglio mystique. I just think that Ovius had worked his way into the router first, if you know what I mean.
We all have our shortcomings, Mike. I get it. I
can speak on a dork level. I mean, it is what it is. So
hang on. I mean, when you talk about shortcomings, there's nothing worse than me watching a game back and going, I said a word that I was trying to set up either, hey, they had played against this team or whatever, and then just throw that word out there for no reason. And it happens at least every other game for me. And of course, the Canes score, and that word shows up in the highlight. or it's like I'm saying it's the wrong team or the Bucs in the wrong place. So yeah, too late, and you move on, and the internet is forever, as we know. So let's go to
about these things, by the way.
Yeah.
Hang on, but Gilio, I'm in a good mood today, so I will entertain like the trade talks, because generally I'm like, they do what they're going to do. So first things first, I think that this team is going to do something, because they're always looking to do something to get better, to improve. Now, again, this is where Dr. Eric Tulsky likes you guys better and will give you guys breadcrumbs than he gives me. I don't also go looking for it, but it's one of these things where this whole team is always trying to make themselves better, right? They're trying to, what can be the best possible version of the Carolina Hurricanes. So that's why I think they'll make a move if they feel that this team, and they do know that this team is good enough to get there and win it all. But is there a piece that could really make it easier for them? And you have to take a look at, you got to look into some of the neighbors' yards here and take a look at what Colorado or Vegas will have if you get to the final, or you got to take a look at what Florida has. What do you need to get past them? The reason why, and the reports come out that the Hurricanes were at least talking about Quinn Hughes.
Yeah.
He is a generational offensive defenseman. Right. And those guys, when they are available, you at least have to see what the market asking price is. And are you going to be willing to come up to that? So would you bring him on here when we were talking about, the Canes' defensive depth is fine, and then what do you do? Well, I think that if there was a deal and you felt that the asking price was right for what you're willing to give up, you want to bring in a player like Quinn Hughes. But again, he comes with that caveat of you got to get him signed, because I do believe that this organization is not going to go through that again. Like if there's a guy who has 1 year left on his deal or is going to be a UFA, that they'll at least want to get assurances if they make those moves. But that's why you inquire about that. I don't think that there's any doubt that a grizzled player like a Nazem Kadri, who's won a cup, that you could bring in, and he gives you more depth down the middle and can possibly improve your team at that spot than what you're going with right now, is something that it interests everybody just using that name. The Buffalo thing is interesting to me, because I think that a lot of the brakes are going to be put on anything Buffalo is going to do, because Kevin Adams has been relieved of his position, and Jarmo Kekalainen is going to come in, and I think Kekalainen is going to take a look and assess everything and be like, all right, we've got guys who need a deal. Can I get them here? Do I want to keep them here? Or do I not want to keep them here? So Buffalo, if they were going to be a team that might have made a move early with Kevin Adams still as the general manager, I think that Kekalainen is going to take everything to the trade deadline, because he can. And, the closer you get to the trade deadline, all of a sudden the prices go a little bit higher if you're sellers, because you're going to know these teams are out and these are the teams that you can definitely deal with. But this is for me the exciting thing, guys, because go back before, the Canes weren't linked to making these moves or taking the home run swings, and now every year, they're going to try one swing for the fence, and at least one swing for the fence, and see if it works. So it's especially how this team is playing right now. I wouldn't be shocked if you hear any name that is going to get moved. Vancouver still might be putting the fire sale out there, and as a few other teams fall out of it, that you're gonna hear Carolina is going to be tied to these guys in some way, shape, or form.
All right, one more hockey-related thing before we move into your levels of tolerance when it comes to Nashville hot chicken. Brandon Bussey, I'm interested in the process of how we finally got here. And since you're in and why wouldn't you be in a good mood, Mike? I mean, look at your background, blue skies.
Oh, I know.
Florida. I mean, come on, man. We're dealing with rain today here in North Carolina. I mean, it is what it is. Later today. I'm curious about the process, because, like, for us, ride the hot hand. Just go with the hot goalie. Go with the hot goalie. But it's not that simple. There's a process to this. You got some other guys that you're trying to integrate all these things. You don't want to carry three goalies, obviously. So what has been like the behind the scenes, just kind of the process to finally get to a point where this team does trust Brandon Bussey to go out there for a back-to-back, that they can be like, all right, you know what, Freddie, how about you just kind of sit these out for a little bit? We'll see what the Brandon Bussey-Kochetkov dynamic looks like. So I feel like there's an actual process behind the scenes rather than the knee-jerk, ride the hot hand. And clearly they trust this team. They trust Bussey, because it's not lost on me that he's finally been released to the media, if you will. Like he kind of had a media car wash this week, doing a variety of podcasts and things like that. So clearly they've gotten more comfortable with him. You got to earn that. And to his credit, he has absolutely earned that trust of the coaching staff and the players in front of him.
Well, yeah, and I mean, when you set an NHL record that no one has ever done, winning 11 games in your first 12 appearances, and for him it's his first 12 starts, I mean, that's a story that you do want to get the message out around the league for what's going on. So, but when you talk about the process, it's funny because if you go about 3 weeks ago, I don't think that there was this, well, we're going to really feature Brandon Bussey. It was more that Pyotr Kochetkov wasn't healthy, you know, and it goes with a back-to-back. And the one thing that this coaching staff said at the start of the season, Rod Brindamore said it, I talked with Paul Schronfelder about it, because of, we all know the history of the Canes goaltenders, right? And that's one of the things that you hear. They're going to run it back with Frederik Andersen and Pyotr Kochetkov. Well, if you're going to do that, you better make sure that you have a third guy in your system, because one of them is, it's just been a known thing now. One of them is not going to be available due to injury for the course of the season. And it just happened to be Kochetkov at the start. And I think for Bussey, it was every time they asked him to play, he just answered every question. And then he gets a shutout against Calgary. And then he backs it up with a really solid performance, you know, and then he'll play against Nashville at home. And he was really good for 2.5 periods. And then the game gets away and things get a little bit loose, and he gives up 2 goals in the third period in a game that was a rout. And it bothers him that, you know, he gave up those 2 goals. And he's always striving to get better. And then all of a sudden you're looking around and you're like, you know, every time we play this guy, something good happens, right? Every time Brandon Bussey hits the net, this team is winning a game. They're 11-1-0 when he plays. And then it gave Pyotr Kochetkov some time to get back, settled down. Well, now Kochetkov is 6-1-0 on this one. And the odd man out is Frederik Andersen. But I think the good thing for this group in this goalie trio is Frederik Andersen and Brandon Bussey have this demeanor about them of, when I get my playing time, I'm going to earn it. I'll do what I need to do. But there was always the sense of there was going to be a rotation. And now I think that Bussey might be, if this is a horse race, he might be out in front. And if you're the coaching staff, because he's the guy you don't know, you have the smallest sample size about, I wouldn't say it's ride the hot hand, Joe, but he's going to get a heck of a lot more opportunities than I think that any of us thought going back to 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, for riding the Brandon Bussey experience here. And look, that's fine with me, because the way that this team plays, if you find a Tim Thomas, if you find one of these guys who, you know, because how many times have you guys said it? Goaltending's voodoo, right? You know, nobody really knows. Well, if you found a guy who is ready for prime time and you got him for next to nothing, why not find out, all right, we'll give you're the guy who is now at least the focal point of the every other day pitching rotation that we're going to try to work in here for now until the end of the season. Because if you've got an answer in goaltender with a guy who you picked up off of waivers, man, good for you. And again, it goes back to, it's why they traded for Caden Primo in the offseason from Montreal, because they had this feeling that, hey, we needed a guy who can play, who we can have some trust in the NHL level and get in there. And the guy who should deserve and deserves a ton of the credit is Paul Schronfelder. He identified Brandon Bussey a couple of years ago and said, look, if he ever becomes available, we should try to find a way to claim him and put him in our system. So it's worked out well. And now I'm just going to tell everybody, enjoy the sausage. Don't worry about how it's made right now. Just enjoy what this Canes group has been able to do and what your goaltending is giving you basically on a night in, night out basis.
So you were just in Nashville. You get the honor, the privilege of being able to go to Nashville because of your job more often than not, because of the hockey schedule. I went to Nashville for the first time ever this past weekend, thanks to travel hockey, my first time on Broadway. And I did think it was kind of interesting that country music, as much as it's positioned as the blue-collar working man's music, they are not asking blue-collar working man prices for a beer. I was shocked.
Hey, you have to go. Look, Joe, Look at my size. You know that I have sampled the wares in these
Yes,
places.
I know.
Robert's Western World
Yeah.
has a certain selection of beverages all day, every day at $2.50.
Amazing. I
And you
should have
just
gone
walk
there.
right by it.
I know.
You
I walked right by.
it.
I made the mistake of going and like, I'm going to go to Eric Church's bar. Like, yeah, buddy, you're going to be paying. So Chief's asking some high level prices. All right.
See,
Okay.
I like Nashville and Broadway, and it's fun, but it's funny for me because I've been going there for a while.
Yeah.
And this is minus hockey. And you know what happens when you bring in big names for a bar?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to charge bigger prices.
Hey, shout out to some of our listeners who sent me articles on the economics of these Nashville bars and the licensing agreements they have with the country acts.
Oh, okay. You got some answers.
Yeah, I got some answers. It's essentially like country artist NIL. Like, look, man, we're running the bar. We just need
Yep.
your name on it to get people in the building because they go, oh my goodness, it's Jason Aldean's bar. And then you go in there, and that's why, even though it's like a normal bar, it just happens to have Jason Aldean on it. So it all makes sense.
We're all bourbon guys.
Yeah.
See what Buffalo Trace did with the Traveler.
Yes, I did see that. So here's my question though. I'm now convinced more than ever that all these Nashville hot chicken joints play a mind trick on you, okay? Because they know the customers and the psychosomatic, whatever of I don't even know what words I'm using here. But the point is they try to scare you into going into a heat level that is just below that one, if that makes sense. So like you've got like the Reaper, which is like the hot one, and they give you a description like, if you're worried about shitting your pants, don't get this one. And then it kind of mind tricks you into getting the one just below it because they don't want to hear your complaints about how it's too hot. Have you experienced this? Like, are you getting Nashville hot chicken? What is your level on this?
I do hot. I used to be, I love spicy food.
Yeah, that's
So
why
I used to, but like, I never found the point in doing like the suicide wings where it's pain over flavor.
Yes.
So when I go into these places and they have this is to burn a hole in the ozone, and I think we all know the reference I'm making there.
Yes.
I'm 50 years old now, guys. I can't recover the way that I used to. And the press box, there isn't one at Bridgestone Arena. So if there is ever a problem, I got to run downstairs and it's just a men's room. So we're not doing that. I am not rolling. I love Vegas. I'm a gambler. I'm not rolling those dice, Gilio. We can crack out the yellow pad for that one and spin the wheel.
You're not pulling a Tim Brando at an ACC tournament where he barges into the bathroom and yells to everybody, "America's waiting."
Yeah.
This is a true story. Tim Brando went into the bathroom and yelled, "America's waiting," so that he could go to the front of the line. That's a true story.
Yeah, let's also quote Tim Brando. None of us want a dramatic deuce.
Brand.
So I do not get the burn your taste buds off level of Nashville hot chicken, but if and they have like there's nothing, right? So there's like there, then there's mild, then there's like medium mild, then medium hot. I still do hot. I don't go to the you're taking your life into your hands level of heat.
You're not signing a waiver. Yes, because I went to Hattie B's for the first time, and my issue was that I was going to the airport right after. What's that?
There are places that they give you a waiver.
Hey, Chris! Shout out to my guy Chris Clark. All right. So Chris Clark went there for like a bachelor party one time, and I forgot which hot Nashville chicken place he went to. It wasn't Hattie B's, but it was this other one of these like OG spots.
Might have been Party Foul. I think they have a waiver for one of their.
It might have been. I think it was Prince's actually, but like on the original Prince's on the other side of the tracks, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And apparently the issue that they run into is they get all these like these frat bros who are there for I can handle this, and then they're in traction and they have to go to the hospital because they got the hottest one. So they've gotten to the point where they look at you and go, "Nah, bro, you ain't doing this." So Chris, who can handle spicy food, had to like convince them, No, you don't understand. I can handle this. But they didn't trust him because he just looked like, a nondescript bro who was going to get their ass handed to them by this hot chicken. But like I went to Hattie B's and I was like, they say on the edge. I'll say this though, the level that I got that hot, at least it allows you to still get the flavor of the chicken and the breading, and it just completely obliterate your taste buds, which I think that's the balance you're looking for with Nashville hot chicken.
Yeah, that's literally all I want. I mean, that's what I want. You can give me some spice, you can get the nose running, and I can get sweat up on the forehead. But I don't want it to be something where I'm in the fetal position at night crying and waiting for the morning to come, right? I don't have time for that anymore.
There's no way Giglio could handle any of this.
No.
Zero.
I was going to say,
Giglio,
I thought for sure there'd be some Calabrian pepper in your system that you could go to.
Way. Like this man's sweating. We go to Oakwood Pizza Box and you get the jalapeno and honey one, and this man's sweating just with a basic jalapeno.
Oh man. All right. Well, good to know. But yeah, I want to enjoy the flavor.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. All right, man. Well, we're gonna enjoy the flavor of this regular season. That's what it's. It's not too hot.
We're trying.
It's not just plain. It's that right level of spice right now.
It's where we're at. This is wow. It's an awful lot like IBM.
Mike.
It is, the spice level is medium. We all think we want it hotter.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's a really good flavor. Maybe not the top one that's on the board, but we're getting everything out of it that we want. That's the regular season for the Canes.
And nobody wants to be in the fetal position in the postseason. That's
correct. Correct.
It reminds me a lot of Hattie B's.
Yeah, it's you're trying to be Hattie B's, but really you're party foul.
Mike Maniscalco, Canes play-by-play. Brought to you not by Nashville Hot Chicken.
No.
Brassfield Accounting. So check them out, brassfieldaccounting.com. All right, Mike, have a safe trip. We'll talk to you later, man.
You got it, guys. Thank you.
Big thanks to our friends at Happy and Hale. We just took a nice long hockey break with Mike Maniscalco.
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hale.
What are you laughing at?
The music.
Because we hit the...
Because you said homage. That's not an homage. You just lifted that.
I did not lift it. Brian lifted it.
Oh, are you sure?
Yeah, Brian lifted it. He basically recreated it and made a loop out of it.
Oh, okay.
That's all he did. I saw Brian yesterday. I was over at Nice Price buying some Christmas records. And I told him, hey, man, we just put together the best of the year.
Merry Christmas, baby.
And I was like, your Sopranos came through. He's like, I'm just mad that I did it. And then the coaching search lasted like a week.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I know. But we'll always have it. It was great. It was great when we had it. Just like every time you go to Happy and Hale, it's going to be great. And look, as we had a caller yesterday,
get the protein bowl.
I'm all in on just as is, but you can't customize your orders if you'd like. You can make that happen. So check out Happy and Hale. Download the app. Use our promo code OG25 to save 25% off one order. Speaking of saving, you save every time when you refinance with our friends at Miller Lending. And this is not about paying closing costs. Like, I saved money with closing costs. Not really. This idea that you can buy this rate down, you're going to keep it for a very, very long time. That's antiquated thinking. People refinance on average about every 4 years. In order to break even on the closing costs you pay to get a slightly lower rate, on average, it takes about 8 years. You see where the math ain't mathing on that? So don't pay closing costs. Just get the rate that's available right now. And when the rates come down in the future, you can refinance again and not worry about it. So check them out online, millerlending.com, or call them directly at 919-447-3377. Tell them we sent you. Do you think Gordon's ever received an email?
Of course, but we need Gordon to help the ACC.
Why is that?
Speaking of math, not mathing, they had released the schedule for next year, or the opponents anyway.
Yeah, we referenced that a little bit yesterday.
They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They have 12 teams playing 9 games next year.
It's brutal.
Which means they have 5 playing 8 games.
It's brutal.
Remember, the math works out that only 1 doesn't have to play.
I know.
But because of schedules and, previous commitments and all this other stuff, they let basically every team, Georgia Tech, well, we got Georgia. Like, we're not going to,
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Florida State, well, we're going to play
I know.
Florida. I mean,
I know.
Clemson, well, wait a minute, we're going to play South Carolina. So,
I know.
It's a mess.
The whole thing's
like,
a mess.
It really, truly,
it's a mess.
It's a mess.
It's a mess. But you know what's not a mess? Refinancing with Miller Lending. Check them out. 919-447-3377. Gordon could probably fix it for him.
Yeah.
But right now he's going to be focused on making sure he gets your home mortgage right. Tell him we sent you, and you'll get a Roback. Now, you can go buy a Roback right now. In fact, Roback announced, because Christmas is next week, 2-day shipping, ready to go.
Whoa.
Automatic, limited time. So if you're looking for a last-minute gift, our friends at Roback got you. Head on over to Roback.com. Use that promo code OG20. Limited time offer, 2-day shipping. So if you need a banger quarter zip with the Griswold, it'll arrive just in time for Christmas. So again, go to Roback.com. Use that promo code OG20. And of course, our guy, Matt Davis, State Farm. Check him out online at SureGarner.com. 919-779-8277. No December doldrums from Matt Davis, like his Duke Blue Devils. Absolutely not. Always locked in. Always locked in. And also can help you with your financial planning in 2026. So hit him up, InsureGarner.com, or call him directly at 919-779-8277. All right, let's get out of here with some Hey Joe. And I guess the question is, Hey Joe, are coaches okay? I don't think coaches are okay. I got 3 clips for you. Let's start with UTSA head coach Jeff Traylor. He talks about players intending to enter the transfer portal. Quote, I never thought we'd be punished by making a bowl game being leveraged.
A little bit more movement with guys intending to hit the portal. What have those conversations been like? Do you have a number that you think of guys you'll lose?
Yeah, we're going to be high. It's going to be high. We'll be a shell of ourselves. But whoever we got out there, we're going to go out there and play the best we can. It's just the numbers so big with all the tampering, all the agents, it's coaches too. It's all of them. Our kids are being numbered such incredible. They're being promised such incredible numbers. They're getting lured into the portal. I just hope all the things those coaches and the agents are promising they're going to do for my kids. I really hope so. And I hate it because I really want to coach them in a bowl game, but they're getting leveraged out of it. Their agents are telling them that they got to not play in the bowl and they'll get this number. They don't play in the bowl, so it's ridiculous. I hate what's going on with college football.
Is that more so they changed the window to one window now? Is that like an unintended consequence that they moved up and now that's impacting? Because it seems a little bit more movement than we've seen in the past from your guys.
I just think the numbers has gotten so large. You're talking about teams that have $26 million to $40 million, and the number's just too big. And who knows if they're being told the truth.
All right, actually reminds me of something that we talked about with Will Wade before the start of the season. Like, hey, you can talk NIL numbers all day, but are you actually going to get that money? Something to keep an eye on.
UTSA, ECU, both American programs that had really good years this year and will not have most of their players for the bowl game. And obviously we'll have to reset their rosters going into next season. And it's just, there's just no, I genuinely feel bad for college football coaches because they continuously have to not only like recruit their own players, but then like make these decisions like at the worst possible time.
It's the worst possible time.
So
this is something that Eli Drinkwitz.
We haven't talked at all about CJ Bailey.
No.
And, they're going to play on Friday. And I believe he's going to play in the game. And it's like, if CJ Bailey was coming back, wouldn't he have already said he's coming back? Like, don't you get that sense?
I would agree with you.
Because like we've seen in years past with NC State in particular, and Carolina too, like guys like the next day are like, I'm coming back.
Yeah, we're running it back.
Those social media posts, this whole thing.
It was very vague, like we'll see where it goes.
And it's kind of like, I as Kevin Keats once told me, you would tell your own son every year to go into the portal because you have to.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way to have any kind of leverage.
Well, here's Eli Drinkwitz. Again, he's not. He kind of echoes the same thing. It's like, don't feel bad for us. We just want to let you all know what's really going on here.
Get in contact with your peers about their perception of what's going on there, and is it coach talk or do you just stay in your silo on it?
No, there's a lot of coaches discussing it and frustrated, in my opinion. And I understand the national sentiment because of the salary ranges of head coaches that it feels like we're complaining, but we're really not. We're trying to sound warning bells, and that's that's what I believe we're all trying to do, is that there's a warning that the system that we're in is really sick right now, and college football is sick, and not in a. It's just there's showing signs of this thing really cracking moving forward. And we need to get something under control. And the SCORE Act was something that it looked like it was going to be a step in a direction. There is no perfect solution, but we have to get some sort of steps moving in that direction. I think we're all weighted with, is it bated breath, the saying, trying to wait on what's going to happen with this fifth-year lawsuit in Nashville, where you could have a flurry of fifth-year guys now being eligible.
Is there a way for Diego Pavia to keep playing college football?
Pretty sure that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's talking about. Well, though, given Diego Pavia, does anybody want him to come back to play college football, given how he's been acting lately?
Oh, you certainly would take the results on the field.
There's that, too. Here's PJ Fleck, Minnesota coach, talking about...
This is the one that kind of got my ears perked up a little bit because... I think you can feel sorry for them because it really, truly is like this daily, weekly struggle. You get your handle on your own roster.
Everybody has representation now, right? So I think they have representation to put them in the best position. They're hiring them, put them in the best position, and then give them as much money as they possibly can, or get them as much money as they possibly can. But I said earlier, I talked about the value system. Like, what do you really value? Is it just the highest dollar? Is it the right position for your future? Is this an environment that you value versus extra dollars? Are we the highest bidder? Maybe we are. But I think it's all got to fit together. It's all got to come together. It's the best example I give, and you've covered the Vikings forever, right? And it's the roles we're in is like you're the head coach, you're the president, you're the owner, you're the GM, you're the director of player personnel, right? And you've almost got to be a negotiator as well of what you have in your budget. And you're doing that without the systems that the NFL has in place.
You got no salary cap, but you can kind of figure out what guys are getting offered. I don't know how you do it here.
Well, sometimes those offers are real and sometimes those offers aren't real. And
that is a consistent theme from the coaches. And that's the one thing I will absolutely fall in line and agree with the coaches. You're going to need some uniformity. You heard it from the guy that PJ Fleck was talking to who covers the Vikings. It's something that we've talked about plenty. And something in relation to
contracts,
in relation to Bill Belichick and Mike Lombardi and like the learning curve of coming over from the NFL to the college thing. They keep talking about 40 freshmen. Great as this foundational piece. How many of those freshmen are going to be here in year 2, 3, 4, given what we know about NIL, offers that are real or not real? We've seen lawsuits over funds that were not. Wasn't Diego Pavia part of that too?
Mm-hmm.
So these are things.
Florida State basketball.
These are things that are all out there. And while, yes, some of this is on the feet of college football and administrators for not getting ahead of it, the ones who bear the brunt of it are the coaches. And every year they are thrown a new wrinkle in how they have to deal with their current roster and their future roster while also trying to get freshmen in that they think they can invest in going forward. And it's a real difficult balance. I do not envy the coaches to be put in that, but they're all saying the same thing. Contracts. They're not, without saying it, they're not saying it directly, but they're saying, hey guys, like at least in the NFL, I know who's going to be here over the course of X amount of years because of the contracts. You don't know who's going to be. And as you said, getting back to CJ Bailey, he's going to play on Friday, right?
I believe that is the plan. I mean,
but then what happens?
I don't know about Hollywood. I don't know about Jolie and some of these other guys.
But also, is it like a Cam Ward where there's like an agreement of, well, I'm gonna play for a half, quarter? Like we don't know. We don't know.
We haven't talked at all about bowl games, and there's not a whole lot of value in talking about them. To be perfectly honest,
there's not.
But I do feel for these coaches. I feel for these players too. Like hey, they have to make the best decisions for them. The players didn't create the system.
No.
You know what I mean?
And now it's up to the people in charge, the stakeholders, to come up with a better system. But we're still too busy whining about who got into a bowl game or who got into the college football playoff and who didn't get into the college football playoff. And that's the biggest problem with college athletics. I make fun of Nick Saban a lot because he goes on television and he talks about how we need a commissioner for college football. He is right, though. He is right, but he is complaining to the wrong people. This ultimately comes on the leadership on the presidential level, and for everybody's competing interest to be put to a side so they actually have some uniformity. But we can't even agree on a college football playoff format. So how in the hell are we going to come up with a format for contracts and player movement when you can't even come up with an actual plan that everybody agrees on to crown your national champion? The whole thing's a mess with competing interests and everybody in their own silos. So I do not, I would not want to be any of these coaches. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. Appreciate Brendan Marks for dropping by. Appreciate Mike Maniscalco as always. And we appreciate you. Still looking for those OG 2025 calls, your best moments, hot takes, issues with the show, however it's a free-for-all. So just call the sports phone on that one. And we'll be back tomorrow for an OG mailbag.